happy, joyful, and free. And that's what we're talking about, folks. How do we live a hopeful life, a happy life, a joyful life, free? And if it sounds like a fairy tale to you, well, it did to me many, many years ago. I was like, what do you mean? I can have all this? And the answer was yes. And that's what we have been sharing with you. We're putting it all together. And this is just the beginning, folks. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to recap what we have shared with you the last 30 days. And guess what happens next month? We do it again with different emphasis. So it just keeps building and building and building. So, Sherry, are you hopeful, happy, joyful, and free?
Yes, I am.
Oh, yes, come on, give us a good one.
Audience, give us a good one. Be like, yes, I'm there, I'm ready.
There you go. Yeah, you know what? It, speaking at live events and seeing people, when you say something, it just really resonates with you. It just shows up, in their expressions and just in their body language. Well, all that shows up when we're sitting one on one with somebody. So if we're happy and if we're joyful, it shows up and it's contagious. So buckle up because we're going to be sharing with you what the four pillars are, you know. And if you haven't figured it out yet, that's it. Happy, hope, hopeful, happy, joyful, and free. But we're going to share with you the three elements that go with each one of those pillars. And that's what we've been sharing with you. So here we go. Sherry, do you want to start with the very first one, the hopeful element?
So, our hopeful element. This gives us, oh, I'm sorry, our hopeful pillar gives us three elements. And that is element number one, going from powerless to powerful. Element number two is you are here, the here and now. And element three is your vision. And so, with all of those things, this is our getting ready phase. We're getting ready to make those changes. We're getting ready to accept where we're at and present everything for our vision so that we can hop right into that next pillar because we're going to get into action, folks.
Yes, we are. So the next pillar is the happy. And this actually is the foundational one, right? The preparation, the hopeful is us changing our mind about certain things, deciding what we want and where do we want to go? Where are we? Where do we want to go? But the happy, if this is where we actually change how we feel. Like, so the happy pillar, the elements are faith and fear. Okay, are we in faith or are we in fear? Every time we're thinking about something, it's either we're excited about it or we're afraid something's going to happen, something bad. So is it positive, is it negative? Are you excited, are you inspired, by pain to take action, or are you inspired by pleasure to take action? Some things to think about. So the next one is truth and unconditional love. This is about us being truthful with ourselves, knowing who we are, really looking at who we are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, because they're all in there with us. And unconditional love. How do we embrace ourselves in all of it, being able to see without being judgmental? That's a hard one, right? So, and of course, the next element, well, we step into our amazing self. And this is where we intentionally choose the things we want to change about ourselves and our environment. That means relationships, that means our work, that means our habits. How do we change things? You can't change everything at one time. However, we can incrementally change things. And so there's a lot of good information. We've shared all this. And I know that I learned a whole lot from the way Sherry was sharing information on how do we do this. What does the science behind all this look like? Because Sometimes it just feels overwhelming. And so we scoot over to the joyful. Take it over, joyful Sherry.
And this was probably one of my favorite ones because I am all about the science and the psychology of why we do what we do. And that opens up right into element 7, expectations and tolerance, and understanding ourselves well enough to go for those realistic expectations, attainable goals, having appropriate tolerance so that we can continue to move forward the way that we want to move. Then we go into element 8, the gift of now. That is being present in our present. And such an important part because we know we can't operate with mindfulness if we are not present in this moment. And we are a gift and we need to learn to celebrate each of one of our gifts. So we had so much fun with that element. Please go back and watch it. I still have it marked as one of my favorites. And then element 9, your spiritual self. And we dove right into what was the definition of spirituality on the grander scheme. And many people just don't know that they're operating in spiritual realms because we're operating for ourselves, from ourselves, and giving out into the world and into the universe the same way that we're receiving. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of explanation to make it a comfortable conversation.
Yeah. So joyful, that's the joyful actually build on happy, and that was a great element. Actually, Sherry shared a lot of information on accessing our dopamine, right? It's like learned about dopamine stacking. Whoa, you mean I can literally control layers and layers and layers of dopamine? Come on, it's we know when you build in layers, ladies, we put on our makeup in layers, it just does a thing. Well, we can, yeah, we can actually stack our dopamine, so pretty cool. So again, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, go back because we've been live every day, well, every weekday for the past 4 weeks. And so now that takes us to pillar 4, freedom, right? So this is the very first one, element 10 is ready, set, glow. You got a glow stick? Well, folks, if you're new to us, Sherry is the prop queen. I never know what she's going to pull out of the bag or what's in front of her desk. So just get ready for spontaneous laughter, okay? Because again, I have no clue what she's going to pull out. So where was I? Oh yeah, ready, set, glow. So this was all about what do we really want moving on in our lives, right? If we have gone through all of the pillars and all of the all of the elements, so we by the time we get to pillar 4, the freedom, we pretty much have shifted quite a lot internally about who we are, and we feel a lot more empowered. And so, if we feel more empowered, now we're like, okay, what choices am I going to make? The pillar element 10 is all about us. Ready, set, glow. What do I want? What do I want for myself? Financially? What do I want for myself in my relationships? What do I want for my health? Because now we're more empowered. We find solutions. We find different ways of doing things. So we're like, we can think bigger, we can dream bigger, we can become bigger. And so we look at it very differently than when we first started in our first element, right? In our you are here. That was our first pillar. You are here and your vision. Those two put together. But now we're leapfrogging to what's possible. And element 11, sharing is caring. And this is how do we share uh, the shift in us, the joy we're finding in different aspects of our lives, on our newfound knowledge, our newfound ways. How do we share it with people without being controlling, and how do we just make an impact, have a ripple effect? Because, sometimes when people find something they really like, they're like, "You gotta do this." And like, "Woo!" So how do you show up in a way that you're attracting the change, around you? And it's just so fun to do. So there was a lot of information shared about that. Again, we got dopamine stuff going on here, right? Everything it's about feeling good. If we're feeling good, we're going to keep doing it. So, how do we see things? How do we feel things? This is where actually I'm learning so much myself. From the way Sherry's explaining what's behind all the mindset. I've had some great shifts in my life. I've actually had a pretty incredible life. If you're new to us, I've been in recovery for 33 years. That means I was a very AA. I was a miserable person, feeling lost, to really living a happy, joyful, and free life. And the change was all about learning new things because I didn't know. And so I knew it worked, but Sherry's explaining why it works, the science behind it. And so it's just like super exciting. And then that brings us back to the final element, which we did yesterday, your global legacy. And this is like, how do we want to be remembered? Who are we really? When you get right down to it, it's like what's really important to us, and how do we step into that amazing, beautiful, powerful, loving, caring self and stay there, right? How do we build on that? And I'm going to right back to it. Sherry brought up some different examples of how that happens. And yes, dopamine came up again. So to feel good, you want to feel good, you got to go back and watch all of those episodes. Okay, so Sherry, I'm going to come back over to you. You want to go ahead and just like give us your take on uh, what really jumped out at you. If people had to just choose maybe three or four things from this entire month for them to be in the hopeful, happy, and joyful and free, what would be your recap on it? Because we can't do everything at one time. So coming from the science behind all of it, what do we do?
One, we make the commitment. Well, first is making that commitment to be here, to show up, to decide that you want a different life. And that's why you guys are here. That's why you're taking this time to watch and go back through and watch previous episodes. Anne and I are both watching the restreams coming through constantly. It's great to know that, okay, people are deciding that they're ready. And that really is that first pillar of hopeful. I know something out there is for me, and it's going to be done by me, and it's going to be executed with the way that I envision it. And that's really that probably first step that I would say, hey, hold on to the fact that you have an idea and you are ready to go and do something about it. And then understanding really what we're afraid of. This is in our pillar two. If we know what we're afraid of, then we can go and tackle it. I know all of us have, you know, seized the day in so many ways, and we were getting ready to say, all right, I'm ready to go on to this next thing. Uh-oh, I'm afraid. But why am I afraid? When you go back and you watch some of the previous episodes, I talk about how our natural instinct kicks in, but it's okay. We can also work with our natural instinct to help us make better decisions. But that leads us right into that pillar three of expectations and tolerance. Again, like I said, that was my favorite pillar because I'm so much of a realist and I like looking at what's around me and how can I maneuver through this current day, this current state, this current society, this current cultural component, and understand where my expectations and where my tolerance maybe are sometimes what are my roadblocks at the exact same time. So knowing where we stand with those things really allows us the opportunity to say, okay, I'm ready. I know what I'm afraid of. I'm adjusting my expectations so I can have attainable goals. And then we get into this free moment. And like I said yesterday, we all deserve that crown to freedom. It's okay. We're going to take it. And I hear Anne giggling in the background, and we're going to run with it. And you know what? No longer is heavy is this head that wears the crown. I'm going to go and I'm going to sport it because I'm getting ready to be free and then take on this next wonderful piece of life that says, uh huh, I did it. I completed this part. what's my next step? Because I am excited.
I'm loving the crown. Yes. And
Yes,
it looks
hold on.
wonderful on you, by the way. Yeah, so all of that, the step by step, again, the information is there wherever you're watching this, whether you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or whether you're in the Access to Experts group or wherever you're watching this, the other videos are there. So feel free to go and see which topics, jump out at you. And no fear, because we're starting again the same four pillars next week. So we're starting, but guess what? We'll be looking at different aspects of, for example, the very first thing we're going to be looking at is powerless to powerful. So how do we, look at it? What aspects do we look at? Whether we're feeling powerless at work, whether we're feeling powerless with our friends or whatever. Guess what? All of it kind of blends in, but we'll be using different examples. We'll be using different tools and resources, different perspectives, because there's so much in each one of these. This is basically living life, hopeful, happy, joyful, and free. And gosh, there's so many different aspects to our lives. And every day it changes, everything changes every day. And so, having said that, I don't know what all of you are really hoping for because I'm not a mind reader. And as far as I know, neither is Sherry. So you may want to go ahead and get in touch with us. You may want to go ahead and just share what your favorite is. Maybe what it is that you're hoping, what aspect of your life, because here's what we're looking at. It doesn't make a difference what our challenge is. It falls under one of the three categories: money, health, relationships, or spirituality is the fourth one. But I'm going to explain about the spirituality in just a second. So let's focus on the first three. If we have a problem, if we have a health problem, money goes out the window. If we have a health problem, our relationships usually suffer. If we have a relationship problem, the money goes out the window. Relationship problems, we're stressed, our health suffers. And so it doesn't really make a difference, which one it is. One impacts the other. It's like spinning plates. Well, how do we manage so all of them are really there and balanced all the time, because they're always moving. They're never really even. They're never equal, spinning the same way, because life is moving constantly. It's never standing still. And if we're not spiritually centered, whatever spirituality means to you, it doesn't make a difference. God, higher power, universe, whatever you call, whatever you are, comfortable with. And so if we're not spiritually centered and grounded, somehow the other three don't really get in balance. So that's why this whole happy, joyful, and free, there's so many layers to it. And it's life altering, it's life changing, because I know it has impacted my life immensely and many other people that I know. And so Sherry also has figured out how to live her life happy, joyful, and free. And guess what? She's got licenses and coming out of the wazoo. It's just like she spent more time learning than I do thinking sometimes, I believe. I don't know, but no, 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 I do a lot of thinking, so scratch that one. But so, so just know that there is a lot that's available. And so we're just going to keep going in there, sharing, and we want your input for that too. So Sherry, what else should we share with them?
I think that we are just so efficient, like always, because that's what we do, because we have learned how to be balanced. We have learned how to implement all of these things. So I really just want to, again, reiterate what Anne said and send us your questions. Send us private messages. Send us DMs on any of the social media platforms that also is available. You see this live on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Drop us comments because we want to actually attend to the people. That's what we're here for. That's what we decided we were going to go in and do, because that's just like this last step. That is our global difference that we are making every day.
Yes, we are. Okay, so we're going to wrap up even a few minutes early today. We don't have a set time. It's usually about 30 minutes, a minute or two more or less. But that's what we want to do, kind of give you the recap. Again, you can go back and watch the other ones and see which ones resonate with you. Comment and share, invite others, and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel so you're notified when the new ones are coming up. So, with that, Sherry, thank you so much for doing this with me, our inaugural month. I have had so much fun.
Yay!
So much fun. Yeah, I know. So, I can't wait to get started next month with share all the
Yes,
new stuff that's coming up. And, I'm excited about 2024. I am
me
super
too.
excited. And so let's have a plan. We have got 2 months to make a plan and change things. So there we go. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us, whether you're watching live or you're maybe watching the recording or replay, wherever you're watching. Thank you for joining us. And Sherry, as always, I just love doing this with you and excited to continue.
Me too, Anne. Thank you. I'm really excited. Who's excited for Monday?
Woohoo! Bye, everybody. We'll see you next